Well, my name is Mike Call, and I'm showing two movies. One's called Best of the West, and one's called Big Game. And Best of the West is a story about going to Waco with Chris Sharma, Boone Speed, Nate Gold, and we met a bunch of other people down there. And Best of the West was it was kind of a plan B. We were originally wanting to go to New Zealand and go visit Flock Hill, which is kind of the premier zone. But they were shooting The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe while we wanted to go, so we had to kind of postpone those plans because we didn't want to miss out on Flock Hill. So Best of the West is a 2-week trip that we did down there, and it's a bit of an old school video. It's not complicated. It's not overly edited or dressed up. It's pretty raw, but Chris, there's a lot of pretty amazing segments in it. I think a lot of good climbing went down when we were down there. Tim Kemple and Nate Gold, everybody kind of chipped in and did a great job. And Chris did what he always does, which is executes. I mean, I've been shooting with Chris since '95, I guess, and I was always pretty blown away with his execution level. Like, he just always gets it done. And in the end, it's like you don't bet against him. Just no matter how absurd it looks, you just don't bet against him. He gets it done. So far I've done a screening in Salt Lake, one in Seattle, one in Portland, 2 days here in Boulder. I'm doing next week on the 21st. I'm doing one in San Francisco at Embarcadero, Landmark Embarcadero Theater, which should be really good. I know there's a lot of climbers, a lot of boulders in San Francisco. So, and then I believe we're trying to work one out for Midtown Manhattan and Austin, Texas, and there's a couple others that are possibilities as well. Part of the deal is getting it out there to the masses, and some people don't get a chance to see the premieres that come out. Sometimes they only happen in Salt Lake, or they only happen in Boulder, or one or two or three places where there's a premiere. And I think it's really great to show climbing videos on a big screen. It's just such a social environment. Everybody gets together and talk smack or whatever, and just have a good time. And I don't know, it just seems like a really nice way to kind of draw everybody together and raise awareness about the movie for sure. And hopefully people will talk about it if they liked it. And so far people seem to have liked it. So I've got Prana, Blue Water, Entreprise, and Urban Climber, and they've all been great, really patient. There's been a lot of setbacks in the timeline for this thing, and because it turned into 2 movies, everything got pushed back even further. So they've been tremendous to work with, really patient, and just give me all the room I need to get it done right. So it's been great. Best of the West is a tour we did of Waco, and we hadn't been to Waco since the restrictions were put in place in terms of accessing the park since '97. None of us had been back, really. I mean, I had been back, but not really as a climber, more as a shooter. And so everybody's a little bit skeptical about Waco, and it turned out to be somewhat founded and somewhat unfounded. It isn't what it used to be, no question about it. Waco will never be that way unless they lift the restrictions. But you can get around Waco. I mean, I think everybody kind of gets it now that it's not closed and it's not that restricted. And if you want to get to a project, you can get to a project anywhere in the park. And Rob Rice down at the Waco Rock Ranch is fantastic about making sure that the system works and the guiding system works, and it's about as smooth as you could imagine for how limited it is to get around the park. So it was great going down, and Chris ended up doing several new problems that he'd been trying, and repeated a couple of things that were really hard for him. And we everybody kind of had a great time just getting to know the park again. So we were in Waco in November of 2004, and we went to New Zealand April of 2005, so 5 months, I guess, which was just enough time for everybody to get a totally different haircut and different hairstyle, and they look completely different, and it's great. Boone and I were in New Zealand for just 5 days when I shot a movie called Frequent Flyers back in 2000, and ever since we were there, Boone had been spraying to Chris about how great it is. And when it came time to actually go back and visit it with Chris, everybody was kind of skeptical. Like, it couldn't be as good as Boone says. It can't be. It's like everything gets blown up in your mind about how good something was, and it turned out it was every bit as good as we remembered. And the area we ended up spending the bulk of our time at, Flock Hill, was even the next tier up from what we knew of it, because we hadn't seen the area of Flock Hill. And So it was just amazing. And the two movies are completely different in terms of scenery and vibe, and it's just a completely different atmosphere. I mean, you go to New Zealand and it's just like, I kind of think of New Zealand as being the star of the movie because it's incidental how hard things are. It's incidental who was there in some ways. We had a fantastic crew. Everybody got along and it was amazing, but we were all more blown away with just being there. Like what an incredible place to be on the planet. And only as a boulderer would you find yourself in Flock Hill, really. Like how else would you get to a place that incredible? Thanks to everybody that came out to the tour, and it's always great to meet climbers from all over the country and let them, introduce themselves to me and tell me what they're up to, and it's great. We all do the same thing, and no matter what side of the country we're on or what part of the world we're on, we all kind of understand what you're looking at, and immediately it's just like surfing. Everybody kind of gets a big wave, and just like you see a beautiful place to climb, and it makes perfect sense when you see it, and it's just an easy way to relate to other climbers, So thanks a lot for everybody that came out.